But thank you for waiting. I appreciate it. Today's roast rate. Now see, now I've got to refresh the. I'm gonna refresh the chat box. There. It should have it now. But thank you for waiting, and thank you to Traditional Grace. I'm making you. I know. Can you imagine? But the biggest shout outs to Grace. If you guys aren't following Traditional Grace, do yourselves a favor, check her out. Lovely lady, fantastic streamer. And the reason why we are doing this Pickleball coffee by Pegasus Coffee. It says it's a medium roast. However, it is a blend, so you never know. But no, not pickle, pickleball. No, kiddo. No. Pickleball, as in the sport old people play. But your beans, they do be nice and chunky. Look at them bad boys. And they seem a little bit, I mean, you can definitely tell they're blended. There's some darker boys in there, some lighter boys in there. And it seems like it's going to be interesting. What we're looking for are mandarin oranges, macadamia nuts, and dark chocolate, which sounds fantastic and amazing. But we will see. Your viewing pleasure coffee. I do be looking, I'll give it a medium. I was making the joke, kiddo, that it's going to taste like mothballs and Werther's. Because, old people. Based off of the smell, the mandarin orange comes through a lot. But that's typical when it comes into these fruity flavor notes. Typically when you have like the chocolate or the caramel or the darker roast kinds of flavor notes, they don't travel through very well with the smell, unlike the fruity ones. Typically the more fruity cup of coffee is, the stronger that smell is going to come through. Otherwise you just get your generic coffee smell. But this has a lot of mandarin orange coming out through the smell of the coffee. We'll see how well that travels through to the tasting notes. And cheers. Oh yeah, a lot of orange. I'll be interesting to see if it can overpower that. Just because it's so much orange right off the get-go. Which is nice. It's strange. Did we get the shout out to Grace? Just because the macadamia nut, it wants to come through. Because I kind of get it after the pull. You know what I mean? Like you take the swig, and it's just like orange, and then but on the yes, Seraph, yeah, it sure does. It sure does. And I also need to yell at Grace because she hasn't streamed. Like, where's she been? Suzerian. But yes, Grace is the reason we're drinking this coffee. So please show her all the love and support because of how much she shows us. But it's really just not there. All I really get is that orange. It overpowers the entire coffee. Which, again, with it being blends, is always interesting. Just because it makes me wonder. Like, so when when you have these flavor notes like this with blends, the issue is you are grabbing flavor notes from different beans, right? So if you don't, the flavor profile of every cup is just so different because of, it's what if I would have gotten more of the macadamia nut and chocolate beans in it compared to if I would have gotten more of the mandarin orange beans or whatever combination. Um, it's 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 interesting and it's hard to rate, but the mandarin orange is still quite delightful. I just was I'm a sucker for macadamia nut. I love macadamia nuts. My favorite cookie, white chocolate macadamia nut. Um, and the dark chocolate would be nice too, but it's just not there. Because I could think of, I think you guys would like those chocolate oranges or whatever. I think that would be a cool kind of coffee flavor, which was what I was kind of expecting a little bit. Um, but it's just all orange. Um, it's not extreme. It's not extremely bitter. It does have a nice bite to it. But it's not like overpowering. Naturally, with when you have an orange or a fruity taste, the natural sugar feel of those flavors are going to outweigh some of the bitterness of the coffee. I will say the mandarin orange does a decent amount of covering up the bitterness. I really need to move my camera back off that monitor because I'm shaking all over the place every time I touch this desk. But it does a nice job covering up some of the bitterness, and it leaves enough of it that that people that are all for a bitter cup of coffee, they still get a little bit of a callback. But I would imagine you coffee and creamer people would still add a little bit to it because it's got at the end of the poll a little bit of the bitter aftertaste, which is nice to have. It's kind of cool to have best of both worlds. I think it would pose better if it had some more darker roast beans in the blend to give the macadamia nut and the dark chocolate a little bit more of a flavor profile in it. But it's still decent. I think if it would have had the macadamia nut and the dark chocolate, it probably would have gotten higher. But with it just being an overpowering orange, I'm probably going to give it a 6. Just because it's a nice change of pace compared to my normal coffee. But it's nothing that is not just almost normal coffee. You know what I mean? I think if it would have had more of the diversity instead of the orange just taking over the flavor note, it would score higher. But unfortunately, because it's just all orange, it's going to score a little bit lower. That being said, Grace, as always, honey, I do appreciate you. Appreciate all the support you give me, and I appreciate all the coffees you redeem for me to try. I do have the strawberries and cream from Pan next week. And then I believe after that, we will have the kiddos' Southern Pecan Pie. And then Grace has a reptiles with coffee blend after that, which will be interesting, I'm sure. I'm sure only the great ones, right? But for recap, lots of orange, a little bit of bitter, but nothing to write home about. Gave it 6 cups out of 10. I hope you all enjoyed the roast rate. Now let us get back to dying in Silksong, shall we?